Daddy told me not to smoke drugs, but I wouldn't listen. Never thought I'd get caught and wind up in prison. Chalk it up to youth, but young age I ain't dissing. I guess I just had to get it out of my system, out of my system.
All right, welcome to Uncarcerated. Flying solo, special edition of Uncarcerated. I've ditched my co-hosts for the evening because two reasons. One, of course, Uncarcerated is the show that platforms justice-impacted people, lets them tell their own stories, not through state attorney's files and mugshots and salacious posts on Facebook, but lets them tell their own stories with context. And none of that's going to change tonight, but two things are changing. One, we have brand new equipment on Uncarcerated, and I was so excited about it. I always open up my Christmas presents like a week early, and tonight is no different. I wanted to get this stuff hooked up and do a show immediately. And two, the first person I called, and he actually picked up the phone, was my good buddy, Mike. Mike, hello.
Hello, Lee. Thanks for having me, bud.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you doing this last minute, but you are one of my favorite humans, one of my best friends, and we forged our friendship and our bond. I think in your words, we became super roommates because we obviously did a lot of time together. And, outside of that, you were one of the few people that I could talk to for hours. Most people, I'm done talking to them after about 10 minutes, the show being an exception, obviously. But I'm like, hey, you're doing good. I'm doing good. That's fine, right? But you, I could talk to about a myriad of subjects for a really, really long time. Tonight, obviously, the subject is going to be you, which is not one of your favorite subjects.
Yeah.
But I really wanted to have you on and kind of catch up and also talk about your experience and what that was like. And then, really your journey over the last couple of years has been unbelievable to watch because it seems like you've just taken another giant leap forward. And so I wanted to kind of put all that together and let our audience know a little bit of the Mike that I know. So let's kind of start with just sort of introducing yourself, who you are, kind of what you got going on.
Yeah. Well, I don't know the answer to that first question. Still trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
What I have going on, what don't I have going on, man? I'm just trying to make it in this crazy world right now. I think it's hilarious because every time I go to like a Florida game or something, I think about you and I think about the fact that, had we not both been fans of the same college football team, we probably, maybe would have been friends, maybe not. I don't know. That just kind of, set the tone immediately. Oh, hey, yeah, this is Lee. He's a Florida football fan. Oh yeah, you are too. Cool.
It's crazy the stuff that you bond over when you're in prison. I mean, you really are searching for any reason to like somebody because you have a lot of time to do. And someone did introduce us and said he likes the Gators. He likes the Gators. They should be friends.
While I was playing poker.
While you were playing poker. Yeah.
While I was playing poker.
I was like, why do you have me bothering this guy while he's playing poker? Because we like the Gators.
Yeah.
We met at Lottie Correctional Institution in C-Dorm, if I'm not mistaken. Right. We were in C-Dorm together.
Yeah, it was in C-Dorm.
And I want to talk to you about your experience inside and sort of like what your experience was with me and our friendship. But I kind of want to start at the beginning.
Yeah.
You grew up in Tampa, and I know
St. Pete. That's
St.
a
Pete, very different.
Very big distinction.
People
right there.
from Tampa don't like to say they're from St. Pete and vice versa.
Absolutely not. Well, and I mean, the most frustrating thing is like you try to tell other people like, yeah, I'm from St. Pete, I'm from the Berg, and they're like, what? And we just eventually were like, Tampa. We're just right outside of Tampa. Oh, okay, yeah.
So I know a little bit about your childhood, and you had quite a bit of trauma and brokenness, obviously, but What led up to your interaction with the justice system?
I mean, the interaction with the justice system started really young. My mom was a drug addict and an alcoholic, and I did some stints in foster care when she would go away and do time on her own, and it's kind of where I got my first real dose with it. I don't know, drinking and drugging from an early age, and I mean, I aligned myself with a group of friends that were like-minded. All anybody really wanted to do was party and hang out, and I think I don't know, at some point it just, it stops. It's just, that's all you ever do. You know what I mean? And I was constantly gone. My mom had, gotten out of prison, and I went back to live with her for some time, but I was just a changed person at that point. Running the streets and just, being a hooligan, and that eventually led to juvenile detention. Few stints of that, getting kicked out of school and stuff, and then just because it's my uncomfortably comfortable part, in my life, I'll be brief with it. My mom, I watched her battle addiction and alcoholism for a long, long time. And she lost that battle,
Yeah.
she
Yeah.
gave up, and it was in pretty kind of dramatic fashion
Yeah.
too, because my sister and my brother and I, we got left notes, and it was brutal, and I blamed myself a lot for it.
Right.
And it just it really impacted my life at that time, and I was already in a bad way, and it just made me go even further off the
It
deep
was
end.
just fuel for the fire. Yeah,
Oh
can you
yeah.
talk about that? We hear about the statistics and the data, but from
hmm
somebody who was experiencing this, the foster care to juvie to prison pipeline, it's almost unavoidable. What is it about that is just such a direct leap from one place to the next to the next?
I think because you get that many broken kids together, and all they have to rely on is each other. Um, and usually it's, revolt. Usually it's, let's run away from the foster home. Let's try to stay gone as long as possible before, because there's no repercussion. You get found by the police, they pick you back up, they bring you right back to the foster home.
So
And
it's like a trauma bond. It's not like the foster care kids or the
yeah,
kids in juvie are
yeah.
like bonding and going, "Hey, let's all exercise
And you're
together or
kids, and
meditate."
you're all, and a
Right.
lot of you are
Yeah.
from an addictive background, so it's still learned behavior. So now you put a bunch of damaged and broken kids together who are just trying to figure out what is going on in life. And then obviously somebody suggests drinking or smoking or popping a pill or something, and then that's the thing to do, and then you just don't even realize it, but you slowly turn into that addict or that alcoholic that you watched for that long and
Yeah.
said, I'd never be that person.
Yeah.
So,
At
you
that
know,
time in your life, uh, at any space on that spectrum, whether it was foster care or juvie or even interacting with the justice system, the prison system, what did you need versus what you got?
I'm sorry, in the justice system, you said?
Yeah, at any point there, what was
Oh,
it that
yeah,
you
with foster
needed
care and
versus
yeah,
what you
yeah.
got? Like, was there some level of like, if I had received this, compassion, care, love, tenderness, forgiveness, third, fourth, fifth chances, what, this is what I needed, but what I got was a cage or abuse.
Yeah. I mean, that was true from the get-go. I got put in a foster home when I was 9, actually, when I was Julian's age. That was my first experience with it. And I mean, It was really, it was, I mean, it was tough, man. It was tough for a kid. It was tough. I remember it was devastating for me. I got taken out of my grandmother's home. My brother went with his dad, and my sister stayed with my grandmother, and nobody wanted Mike. And I just thought that there was something wrong with me. And like, I was very sad and very confused. And, I got put into a foster home with people that basically just use it as a business.
Yeah.
And they had no regard for us kids whatsoever. I remember I had a bear I got sent there with. It was a bear that my mom had given me. And within like the first few days, I found it like headless, like torn apart, like just, and I come to find out it was like the actual foster parents that were like telling the kids, like, do this, like, you got to like, like torturing
Haze
me,
him.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Break him
So,
in.
I I told my counselor at the time for DCF that the guy touched me or something like that, and obviously that wasn't true. They come to find out I came clean like later on, and then they just put me in a boys' home, which was, I mean, not really. I guess it was worse, comparably, because I don't know. I honestly, I don't really know. Either way, it was
It's
not,
just crazy to me that like the foster care parents, the foster care system, boys' homes, group homes, sheriff's youth ranch, like all these places just
yeah,
omit all these horror stories. And
eh,
it should be the exact opposite. You would think it would be the most compassionate people possible. That like I'm going to take
nah,
in this kid who's had all these troubles, but it's
nah.
not. It's the opposite.
Yeah, for the first people who I ended up at, they were, I guess knowing what I know now, they were just in it for the money. And the people at the boys' home, the people that supervised us, is basically incarceration. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
the people are there just kind of getting a check. You know what I mean? And when their shift's over, the next people are going to come in and get a check. And you know, um,
So you
I mean,
you
really,
no, go
you
ahead.
know, the justice system wasn't really any different. It wasn't from foster care to juvenile to county jail, on to DOC. I mean, it's all it's all pretty same.
Right.
You just said it. It's a pipeline. It's not. I don't think it was meant to be, but that's what it is. It's
So
exactly what it is.
when you left county jail and you get to prison for the first time, how much time were you given off the bat? 5 years? Was that
Yeah,
right?
5 years.
Okay.
Yeah,
And did you go through Central Florida Reception Center? Is that right?
I did. CFRC. Yep,
And
Orlando.
you know, my experience when I got to Lake Butler was, I had had enough time in county jail. I did not have the same experience that you did. I didn't grow up in foster care. I didn't go to juvie. And county at least gave me enough time in jail to kind of know kind of what to do. Like, don't fuck with people, walk in a straight line, keep your head down, those kinds of things. But still, when I'm coming up to Lake Butler for the first time, I remember that image in my head like it was yesterday. The razor
Mhm.
wire, the guard towers, the guards screaming at you, having to get naked. It was daunting. It still is traumatic for me to go back and think about that. Was What was your experience going into Central Florida Reception Center? Were you just like, this is another day? Like, I'm used to
Mhm.
doing time? Like, what was your experience? Was there fear?
I mean, there's always anybody who says that there's no fears, I think just bullshitting. There's always a little bit of fear. What's gonna, because I had done plenty of juvenile and jail stints, but prisons, that's the big boys game. And of course, you got this grandiose idea of what it is based off of the movies, and it's nothing like that,
Right.
you know. But funny enough, I rode the bus with like like childhood friends, like that we have known each other for a long time, and we were in separate dorms the whole time in county jail. And we get put down into where they're holding us all to take us on the Bluebird. And I remember, God rest him, Billy Van Deven and Phil Wood. Phil's still alive. and doing really well. I'm proud of you, Phil. But we were cutting up in the back, man, just kind of reminiscing. And I remember this old man was like, y'all better chill that out before we get here, man, because it's gonna be bad. And we're like, shut the fuck up, old man. We're just like we're just like selling out, man. And boy, we got to CFRC. I remember, man. I remember it like it was yesterday too. I watched an old man in a wheelchair get thrown off of the Bluebird because he was just moving too slow. They pushed him out of there.
Yeah.
And there was this little 5'4", 110-pound Puerto Rican dude, giving us all instructions. All right, you're here because you're all fucked up, and we are here to unfuck you. Now get naked,
Jesus
and there's
Christ, yeah.
60 of us standing in a circle,
Yeah. You know what? Did you lose my? You still hear me, right? You just lost my
your
video.
feed. Yeah,
Okay, but you can hear me, right?
I can.
Okay, great. Yeah, what really threw me at Lake Butler was just being screamed at opposite orders all the time. You single file, 2 lines, one right behind the other, double. And I'm like, wait, these are all opposing ideas. It was fucking crazy,
man. That's why it's the
Yeah.
warfare game, man.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
So, you get there with your friends, and then what was the first camp you got sent to?
Hamilton Correctional. Jasper, I think. Jasper, Florida.
So they sent you real far away from home as well.
Oh, that's the county line, basically, Georgia-Florida line. Yeah, Hamilton, man, Hamilton was fucked up because I remember we got there and we were at the annex in the visitation center, like processing, and we got locked down for like 7 hours because a captain got stabbed in the neck.
Yeah.
And I think they had to like flight him out of there, and it was a whole ordeal and everything. We were like in the visitation center, just like sitting on the floor for hours. You're processing, so you got no books, you got no
commissary, you're hungry,
you got nothing.
Yeah.
You got nothing. And they're trying to figure how to get us to chow, because technically we haven't processed into the camp yet.
You don't even exist, right?
We don't even exist in the system technically.
Right.
So it was a mess. And then I ended up getting over to the main unit, which was cooler than the annex. But they got locked down a lot too. The dorm that I was in got locked down a lot. Somehow I got blessed, man, and this is hilarious because, I got convicted of a violent offense. There's a lot of things that I won't be able to do ever. But as soon as I hit the camp, my custody level dropped.
Yeah.
So they put me over at the work camp almost immediately. So
it's crazy how that works in prison because in the real world, you have a violent offense and, there's a whole list of things that look like they're violent, but they're not. And charges get upped and, stuff like one of my bosses recently got into a fight. This is when they were using, and now they're like a, well-respected community member, run a company. But they got into a fight many years ago, reached into the car, to grab the person they were fighting with by the hair. And so she has like burglary of an occupied dwelling.
Burglary of an occupied conveyance.
So, like there's all these things where you just, on paper, you're never going to be able to work this whole set of jobs and you're always looked at funny. But inside, though, they're much more reasonable about that. They're like, it says this, but you can go out the gate. Because
you can go out the gate.
You can go out the gate.
I mean, come on, man.
They want you to work
you out
for
there,
free.
bro.
Exactly.
I worked at a
Super fucked
wastewater
up.
treatment plant for a year and a half, bro. You know how much of a salary I've saved them? You know, how much
Yeah.
of a, hourly rate that they didn't have to spend on somebody doing that?
And I do want to get into that, but you're at Hamilton for a little while, and then you leave Hamilton. 6
6 months.
months.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So while I'm on the main unit, bro, like I've been on the main unit for like 2 weeks, bro, and we've gotten locked down like 9 of 14 days, just for it's simple stuff. Now they're, this dorm and that dorm are fighting on the rec yard, and now, and this guy did this and that guy did that. So after a while, I was just talking to somebody and they were like, man, yeah, I'm getting ready to go faith-based, man, sweeter time and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, all right, what's up? Tell me what's up then. So I put in for
For a
faith-based.
faith and character based camp. And it's funny that you use the term sweet, Mike, because everyone's definition
Shit's
of
sweet.
sweet is different in there. I'm on the bus to ACI and I'm listening. I'm listening to everybody else on the bus because I want to know what I'm about to face, what I'm about to get into. And I hear these dudes in front of me talking about, man, this place is sweet. This shit's so sweet. We're we're grabbing crackers and taking their commissary bags, and I was like, wait a second, that's not sweet. That's not sweet for me.
That's sweet.
Yeah, it's sweet for someone else. But yeah, everyone's definition of sweet is different. But so you put in for the faith and character base camp,
So
and
I put in for the faith-based,
yeah,
and then I get sent over to the work camp, and I got put on like a good groundskeeping crew. And I was like, man, I don't want to leave this. It was a little two-man, no, it was two butterfly dorms. So it was like 200 inmates, less than 200 inmates on the yard, small rec yard. They let you go out to rec a lot. Like it was cool. The captain was cool. Like everything was that was a good place to do time. And then sure enough, they came and rolled me up one night, and I'm like, no, 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 I don't want to go. I'm refusing. I'm refusing. And
did you tried
I'm
to
like, I don't want
refuse?
it. Well, I tried to refuse to go. I was like, I'm straight. I'll do all of my time here, and I'll be straight.
Yeah. Once
Yeah,
you
they're
once you
like,
get
nah.
into you know some people, you do not want to just dance with the devil that brought you,
No,
right?
you're good.
Yeah,
I'm good. I don't
exactly.
want to go anymore. They're like, bro, roll that shit up. We're going.
So
So,
I was at ACI and they came 7 months in and said, Scott, pack your shit. And so I packed my stuff up and I don't know if I've ever told you this story before, but I'm waiting in the little dog cage outside of ACI for the bus to
mhm.
show up, right? And there's like 12 of us, and the Bluebird bus pulls up, and they start screaming at you so they can shackle you around your waist and shackle your ankles, right? And
Yeah.
so I step to the back of the bus, and he's this big fat guard is about to shackle my ankles, and he goes, "Stand up straight, motherfucker!" And so I stand up, and he goes, "Straighter, dumbass!" And so I stand up straighter,
Yeah.
and I hit my head so fucking hard. I look down and there's just blood pouring down onto my commissary, like my potato sacks with all my belongings in the universe. And but I don't say anything because I know if they call me off of here, I'm not only going to have to stay at ACI, I'm going to have to stay at the medical unit, which is
Yeah.
a shit show, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
I just very quietly, just there's blood pouring down. I just very quietly, he doesn't see it. I get onto the back seat of the bus, and this guy across from me goes, "Hey man, you're bleeding." And I go, "Shut the fuck up, dude." And he goes, "Man, you're
No, you
bleeding
didn't.
everywhere." Yeah. He goes, "Shut up." And the guard from the outside goes, "Everybody all right in there?" And I go, "It's fine. I just scratched myself. I'm fine." And the only thing I have to like mop up the blood was a pair of my boxer shorts, like those
Yeah.
white boxer state issue
Yeah. Yeah.
boxer
Yeah.
shorts.
Yeah.
So I held it on my head all the way to Lottie. And when I get to Lottie, I don't know what to do with these boxer shorts. So I just crammed them in the seat, left them on the bus.
So it looks like
So,
somebody got
yeah.
their booty took on the bus.
So the next guy got on the
Oh
bus
my
and was like,
God.
"Oh my God, ACI really is that bad." So you get to Lottie, and were you glad once you got there, once you got used to it?
I mean, going to a new camp sucks
Yeah.
always, especially when you're already, kind of established and stuff. But I was, I don't know. I had heard good things about Lottie. Um, Believe it or not, I actually did want to like be better.
Yeah.
I was
You just had no roadmap for it. Right.
she should be in there. Okay. Okay. Um, so I get there, I get put in. I mean, I got put in C dorm, I think immediately. And I mean, it was a good place to do time.
Yeah.
I was excited about the possibility of doing some of the programs. I didn't think that we would do what we did.
Right.
I didn't think that at all. I figured they would be, um, a lot more, I don't know, people over the shoulder and all that stuff. We had a lot of freedom there, man. It was really cool to experience what we experienced there, man, because I didn't think that prison would be like that.
And I don't think the prison designed itself like that. We just happened to be there at a time when there was a few of us that said, "Hey, let us facilitate some of these classes." And they said, "Yeah." I don't think they wanted to do it. And so,
Yeah.
stuff like 7 Habits of Highly Effective People and that philosophy and leadership class, that was all stuff that we designed. And so, letting us do that, uh, you know,
Go lay down.
I got more out of listening to another inmate talk than I ever would of somebody coming from the outside to teach a class.
Yeah.
Was that your experience?
Yeah.
Did you connect with some of the stuff that was getting shared in those classes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, and here's the deal. I went to prison, a 19-year-old, you know, lost person. Um, and I didn't know it then, but I know it now. I was at a real crucial moment in my life to where I was going to make a decision on whether I was going to probably become a career criminal or start figuring my shit out. Um, and I decided to start figuring my shit out. Now, did I? No, I bombed when I got out, but it's where I started.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm so grateful for relations. Man, I love you, man. I really do. Because I don't know what it was about you, but you made me want to be better, pronunciate words better, and play Scrabble and like stuff that I think I maybe just robbed myself of doing before that I had wanted to do because because nobody in my social circle did shit like that. Nobody played chess and nobody, you know what I mean? But I don't know. It was cool. It was, the connections that were made there were really cool, man. And the stuff that we did was really cool.
Yeah, I tell people all the time that, like, because I hear this a lot in the recovery community or going to talk in like justice impacted circles. You hear a lot of people say, well, thank God I got locked up, or I wouldn't have gotten clean, or I wouldn't have figured it out. And I always have people pause there and remind themselves that that was in spite of the system, not because of the system. That was because you connected with some other people that you learned something from, or you took a class that a inmate facilitated, or a peer support specialist had something to do with it. It wasn't designed that way, And so you found stuff that was the building blocks for things that you would figure out later on. At Lottie, obviously, we took classes. For the people who don't understand that, there was one prison in Florida at the time that was a faith and character based camp. And so
No, there was two. What was the other one? Wakala.
Wakala came later. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. There was two.
And so we were there, and we designed a lot of classes, we took a lot of classes, but we also had to have jobs. So
Yeah.
as well as going to these classes, you were working at the wastewater treatment plant all day.
Yeah.
Tell me what that experience was like. Did
That
you
was
think you
dope.
were going to be able to take that information and apply it to your job later? That's
Hell
kind of what they
no.
told you, though, right?
Yeah, I mean, listen, it was an opportunity for me to get out the gate and get away from COs.
Yeah.
Man, I worked for county people. And that was, man, that was a wild experience, to say the least. Um, it's, it's comical because no matter where I go, uh, drugs will find me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anywhere I go, man. And it's, I know enough to recognize that now. I was actually at a little shindig recently, and somebody had offered me, so, and it was just, I don't know, it's in the craziest of situations where I never would imagine, you know what I mean? I'm constantly offered an opportunity,
Yeah,
and that was.
you have that I'm going to do drugs with this guy face.
Well,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like, yeah, like, do you, or at least like, I should ask this guy if he wants some.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, I have no idea where I was going with that.
So you work at the wastewater treatment facility
Oh, yeah,
plant
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah. So the county guy is a drug addict. I mean, full-blown drug addict. Like picking me up from the gate and getting in a county pickup truck and getting, but not even a mile down the road, and stuffing a football and a blue in a straw and folding it in half and chewing it up. And dude, I can't tell you how many times I had to, like, he would be nodding out at the wheel, driving down, like, I swear on everything,
you're
it's
the inmate.
insane. And
You're
I'm
the
the
inmate.
inmate
Right.
holding the steering wheel.
This
Like,
is the guy
someone will
getting paid
crash.
from state government and you're riding next to him and
Hey,
you're in county or state blues.
but he
It's
got us
crazy.
good
Yeah.
food and cigarettes. And I mean, there was, I abused that situation too.
Yeah, I'm not saying he should have been an inmate, but I'm saying that
No,
the
it's
system
just
isn't about like justice or, it's
crazy.
just a luck of the draw, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I wish this system, I just talking this to somebody the other day, and I think there are things that you can do to help yourself while you're in there, but it is so minimal, man. It is just so minimal. And you're already going in compromised. Like obviously you're not at a peak in your life,
Yeah.
getting sentenced to prison. Obviously, there's some underlying issues
You're going
there.
in wounded, not well fed, not, county
No,
jail,
not
you
your
can't
right state of
exercise,
mind.
right? You're not in your
Yeah.
right state of mind. And then you go and yeah, so you're not in a place where you're like seeking out healing. You're just trying to survive.
Yeah, well, I mean, and there's the mentality of it. It's, the correctional officer's job is to count you every single day. That is their only job, is to make sure that you stayed 24 more hours at that facility where
Yep.
you were supposed to be, to make sure that you do hour for hour, minute for minute, second for second, your allotted punishment.
Yeah.
But, you know, 70, 80%, maybe that's a crazy number, but I would say probably 60, 70%. Like they want to make your time worse.
Oh,
They
yeah.
want you, it's not just about removing that section of your life, it's also about we're gonna show you, you better not
Right.
fuck up again, you
Right.
motherfucker.
Right.
And the issue is the same, I think, issue with like, politicians stuff. It's just there's no turnover rate. It's just, these guys stay in there, these men and women stay in their positions for too long, and they just,
There's no
that's what they learned,
repercussions
and
for bad
there's
behavior.
no
Right.
repercussions.
Yeah.
There's nobody saying, hey, you should be better. There's nobody, you know, I don't know. And it just stays the same.
Yeah. So I want to get to your journey home, but there's one thing I want to talk to you about inside Lottie, and that is Riser.
Which,
I
oh
want
my
to talk to
God.
you about the time that you almost got us killed. And so I was telling my lovely wife about this the other day, but we did time, and so we would leave our dorm and we would go to this education building to do our classes, and we basically had the run of the education building. Like we were in charge there. I mean, I never even saw a guard, but there was one guy who used to be a captain at Florida State Prison, and now he's just like a regular CO. So you got to think, like, what did he do? What kind of horrible shit did he do to get to be a captain in the 80s, right? Because you only get to be a captain from doing some horrible shit. And what even worse shit did he do to just go back to being a CO? And this guy looked like, if you're listening to this, just picture a Florida corrections officer in your mind. That's exactly what he looks like. Just like this big bull neck. He just didn't even have a neck. His neck just went right into his head. And he was like a fucking cartoon character. He looked like Foghorn Leghorn's body, but like with a big marine head on it, right? And so this guy would scream at us and yell at us, but he would also like play around with you. So you never could tell, is he mad or is he just messing with us? And one day, Mike and myself and this other guy, Dan Daly, are fucking around in the hallway, and Reiser says, "Shut the fuck up." And Mike goes, "Fuck you. Fuck you, Reiser." And I was like, oh, I guess they're playing. I don't know. And he goes, "What, motherfucker?" And he took us and threw us into this dark room. And it was there that I realized I was going to die at that point. Tell me explain to me what, in your mind, how that situation went down.
Well, it's just like you said. I mean, Roger used to play with everybody, but he's an old, ornery correctional officer.
Yeah.
And, we just fuck around with him back. And yeah, it was like a hallway or something, I remember. And
yeah, it was like
and
a
I just
little
remember
tiny
thinking
hallway.
afterwards, you were like, dude, he could have killed us in there.
He turned all the lights off. It was just us in the dark, and you would not stop yelling at him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Everybody's got their breaking point.
It's
that
like
must
you had
have
a death wish.
That must have been my breaking point that day. Hey, but we got out of it.
We did get out of it, yeah.
Correctional officers on both Lottie and Hamilton both really didn't like me, really, because I had a shaving pass. I was
yeah.
White boy with a shaving pass was not very common.
Right.
But I had it. It followed me everywhere that I went, and I used to get messed with a lot by correctional officers for that. Oh,
so
look at you.
For those of you who don't know, it used to be in Florida State Prison, you had to be clean shaven, and they would use not being clean shaven as a way to pull you out of line and beat your ass and send you back to the dorm and not let you eat chow.
Yeah.
But Mike had a shaving pass, and you would use it. You would wait for one of those motherfuckers to say something to you, and then you would just like grin and show them the shaving pass.
Yeah. Dude, it was so old by the time, because they make you stay with your original one. So
if you lose it, you don't get it again.
4-year-old ancient like tome on the back of my ID. Yeah, it's good. It was good.
Yeah, so we did get out of almost dying, and then strangely enough, a couple of months later, you guys had him come handcuff me as an April Fool's joke and take me to the box. So good one.
I don't remember that.
Best April Fool. Oh no, that was when you had your appendicitis. Yeah, you got air flighted to the hospital because your appendix burst. While you were gone, they April Fooled me.
I did not
you weren't a part of that.
Air flighted. My God,
you did.
Dude,
the helicopter came.
You had an entire prison convinced that I had died.
I did. I told everyone you died. And I never told anybody that I was kidding. And so when you came back like a month later, it was like, what? He's alive?
No, sir. It was like 2 months later. Trust me, I remember every bit of that because I went to Lake Butler. That was the worst, man.
Yeah, you did almost die.
Recovering from that was crazy. That was crazy.
Yeah, explain the medical, because not a lot of people have this exposure. Only thing worse than the justice system is our healthcare system, and then you combine those two things together. I mean, that had to be like super traumatic to have your appendix burst, go to the hospital, have to have surgery, you're handcuffed to a bed. I mean, explain that, and then also follow-up question to that. Do you still have some issues, like some trauma around going to see the doctor, hospitals? Like, did that leave some residual stuff for you?
Well, I'll start with that one. No,
Okay.
that's a simple one for me. Thankfully, I have always been pretty comfortable and chill with the medical stuff. I don't, I'm have been a lot better now about at least going once a year and getting blood work and stuff done. But for the most part, I've been fairly lucky my whole life. Haven't really had to, um, be in and out of doctors and hospitals. But I'll tell you, man. They almost let me die up there in medical, man. I put
Yeah.
in a sick call. Remember, we were doing a class and I was supposed to speak that night.
Yeah, you were going to
Um,
co-facilitate a class with me.
and I just got nauseous and then I couldn't throw up and I couldn't shit and I was like, man, something's really wrong. So they put me in a cell in medical for like 4 hours. I'm just in this cell slow while my appendix is slowly rupturing and it's getting worse. I'm like crying, sitting naked
Oh
on the
God.
toilet in there like begging them to do anything. I feel like I gotta shit. I feel like I gotta throw up. I can't do either. It hurts. So finally, after like 4 hours, it was like right at shift change. Finally, they bring me into a room and I lay down and the nurse came in and she poked me right on the appendix
Mm.
and I almost punched her in the face.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was bad, like just reactionary. I'm telling you right now, I'm super grateful that I didn't. I don't know why I didn't, but
Yeah.
I remember wanting to punch her in the face
Yeah.
because I don't, I don't hit women, so I
Yeah.
don't, I vividly remember that memory. Uh, but she was like, "Oh yeah, y'all got to get him to a hospital. His appendix is rupturing." So then it takes another hour to chain and shackle me, and load me onto a van where they then drive me. I think we were so close. I think we went to Shands of Gainesville actually, and then yeah, got a laparoscopic appendectomy, which is a very simple procedure. Two small incisions, and then they carve your belly button open, and they open it up, and they take your appendix out, and they glue everything back together.
And are you
So
handcuffed this entire time to the
yeah,
bed?
yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my
And
God.
when you wake up, you're handcuffed, and they don't give you narcotics when you're in the hospital and
Right.
stuff. Not that I would have probably refused in many ways, but
Yeah.
also probably not because I'm a
Yeah.
drug addict. So it was very, I mean, it was just uncomfortable. It sucked. I just had
Was it
surgery.
dehumanizing? I mean, did they treat you like an inmate in there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was cool because the nurses were very different. But just like those 70% of those
Yeah.
correctional officers, as soon as the nurse would come in and start asking me if I needed something, blah, 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 they'd be right there, kind of like in the conversation, like,
Fucking pisses me
which would
off.
make the nurse just kind of like clam up and like then she would leave or whatever. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then I got sent to Lake Butler for recovery and got stuck at Butler for like 2 months. Which for anybody who hasn't been up the road, going from a permanent camp where you're like comfortable and established back to
A reception center?
a
Yeah.
reception center is like the worst thing that could happen.
Yeah.
Because now we're sitting up for 4 hours for count time with no books. You have to sit up the whole time. You're constant lockdown. There's just,
Yeah.
reception centers it's like the Wild West, man.
Right. People are coming
You
in and
know?
out of there. The I was just telling my
Uh,
wife this the other day that uh, in the Florida prison system, the inmates do all the work. Your food is cooked by an inmate. You're processed by an inmate.
yeah,
The cleanup, the
everything.
landscaping is done by an inmate. The guards sit in a booth. That's it. And then they come out and count you. That's it. And so at Lake Butler, at these reception centers, they have what's called permanents. So permanent inmates, they're just there forever. Usually they have a lot of time and they don't wear blue uniforms. They wear white uniforms.
White.
And the guys at these reception centers are the biggest hustlers and con artists you've ever met in your life because they are getting people as they're coming in for their first experience in prison, and they spot that. And so they're selling them stuff, they're taking their money, they're having them send home money to their family for these crazy schemes. It's just like it's crazy. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
crazy. Um,
Yeah.
so you got
That
stuck at
sucked.
Lake Butler, and then you come back to Lottie, and everybody had thought you were dead. Yeah, so
Yeah.
welcome home.
Yeah, it was wonderful. It was wonderful. I remember what dorm you know what I remember? The day I got back was the Super Bowl that
Denver and Seattle.
Peyton
Yeah,
Manning played in, where the first hike of the game went over Peyton Manning's head for a safety,
yeah.
because I bet with Denver that year. I think that's the year he threw
All of our
what,
memories are
40
gambling
touchdowns.
related.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everything's gambling. I mean, it was, you know, it is what it is.
So
It is what it is.
you do your 5 years, you almost die, you learn some things, you survive. Now you're back home in the free world. I know that early on, your first couple years home, it was hit and miss. Tell me, like, what were the most difficult experiences for you? Like, what did you face? What barriers did you face? And what internal barriers did you face when you came home from prison?
Uh, Man, transitioning back was actually surprisingly harder than I thought that it was going to be, and that's still a surprise to me, because the experience of prison was what it was. I think that I was afraid of responsibility, and like what do I do? Like what do I do now? I'm mid 20s. I don't have anything. I don't have anyone, you know. And what I came home to, you said earlier about some people saying that prison saved their life. That can't be more true than in my life. Because when I came home, I've a bunch of people that I was hanging out with or had grown up with had already passed. Drugs ran rampant in my social circle, and everything was just different when I got home. All the people that I knew, nobody really hung out anymore. Everybody had either stolen from each other or something, and
Yeah, that was like the
um,
middle of the opioid crisis.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was right. Yeah. So thankfully, I was given housing. My brother gave me a place to stay, and I was able to kind of like transition back in. But I kind of started fixing the issues when I went up the road. But I also played a lot of poker
Yeah.
and and spent a lot of time reading Phil Steele and shooting the shit with you,
Yeah.
and not being healthy.
Yeah.
So, alcoholism and addiction caught up with me again, and I I actually went and did 100 days in Orange County Jail a year to the day that I got released from prison. Got released from prison June 1st, and went and pled guilty in Orange County, and went and did 100 days in Orange County Jail for yeah.
And was that enough?
Getting
That 100 days of going back? I remember talking to you at that time, and it did sound. You sounded a little more defeated at that time. It was a little
yeah.
like I had never. I know you to not have a lot of fear, and you seem like a fearless person. And sometimes I think you're putting on, and like there probably is some fear in there, but like you don't ever let anybody see you sweat. And that time, it stuck out to me that you really had a lot of fear that like this was going to undo your life, that you wouldn't be able to pick it back up again. What was your mental state when you had to go back for the 100 days?
Oh man, I had resolved that they weren't ever going to get another day out of me, after
Yeah.
I left DOC.
Yeah.
And thankfully, that is true. DOC hasn't gotten another day out of me. But I think I started becoming really confident when I got home. I got a really, I lucked up into a good job at the Holiday Inn. as a shuttle driver. And you know me, man, I can talk. I'm a talker. So I was picking people up from the airport. I was, people loved me. I had a really good job. And but I also had this way of sabotaging when I started like really gaining momentum. And that's exactly what happened. And I ended up getting fired from that job, and destroying relationships and just catastrophizing my life again. Uh, but I remember thinking like, I'm always going to be this way. That was the first
Yeah.
real time that I kind of looked in the mirror and was like, I don't know how to stop doing this. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Yeah.
Before I didn't really understand and didn't really care to understand. I stayed so fucked up, so medicated all the time that I didn't care who I was or what I did or what I stood for. I knew what I was doing that night, and that was my focal point.
Right.
So now I was kind of like faced with, you know, what are we doing here? Like, is this what I'm gonna be for the rest of my life?
And that
Um,
that sort of like chaos and living for the day, but that obviously, from the outside looking in, that's a direct link to the foster care system, to all the trauma and being in an emergency as a kid. You didn't really know how to have normal. You were home a year and things are going well. Of course you're going to blow it up because it wasn't comfortable.
yeah, very true. That's actually something I've just recently kind of started finding out about myself, and what other people do. It's actually not as uncommon. But yeah, and I think even you and I have had this conversation recently about being kind of like stuck in survival mode when you don't have to be.
Right.
And you make impulsive decisions and you do, just living on the edge when you don't really kind of need to. And I mean,
Yeah.
it's not, normal is not still not comfortable. Like it's something that I talk about in my recovery program even now. Like there's a saying called mastering the mundane, and it's just trying to be okay with nothing going on.
Yeah.
And it's so backwards because you just you don't want anything going on, but at the same time when something is not, I'm in just constant fear that I need to be prepared for when something
Well,
is,
I also think it's a very human thing and it's a very, very American thing that there's some part of us that think there is more, right? There's got to be more. I'm going to make more money. I'm going to have a bigger house. There's more to life, right? Like everything is geared towards more. And so when you're at the place that we're at, when you're at the poverty level, when you have experienced trauma or a broken home, it leads to addiction. And then that becomes more and more and more. So I think that idea that like, I'm a failure, I'm not enough, when honestly, just boring, go to work, pay your bills, go home, go to sleep. I live for that now. I love nothing. My adventures are like going to the woods with my wife. That's like enough for me. I don't need like more, but I think we're conditioned that there always has to be more, more, more.
Al, and I think it's a personality thing too, man. I set really, really, really unrealistic expectations, and that is something that I battle drastically. So I am rarely satisfied, and never really feel like I'm right where I'm supposed to be. But
Yeah.
every once in a while, I kind of get that. For me, that's a serenity feeling. That's a serene feeling to me. It's just. Feeling like no matter what I've done and no matter where I've been, I am at this singular moment in time right where I'm supposed to be because it kind of validates even the shit decisions, and it kind of gives meaning to the hopeless tragedies, that people endure. And it's just like, you know, um, believing in a plan or believing in a path, no matter whether we understand it or not. Um,
So your life now is good. You have a good life now. I like your
I do.
life. I'm really enjoying this mic. So the last couple years have been great to watch this sort of evolution of how your sort of work ethic and your family life has come together. We actually have a good ending to this story, at least for right now.
Yeah.
Tell us where you're at now. What clicked?
Uh, I'm at home right now. No. Uh, no, it's been pretty chaotic. I've my vehicle is in the shop again. That's just what it be sometimes. But I was trying to find some gratitude the other day. I'm, bitching about having to drive my wife's vehicle, around, and I remember just thinking in my head like, shut the
Yeah,
fuck
these are
up,
good
man.
problems. Yeah.
These are good problems to have, but I'm good. I've been doing plumbing, subcontracting and plumbing for like 7 years now. I'm currently saving up money so that way I can take the test and get licensed myself. Like that's my next kind of goal. Um, everything is good. Everything is really good. I have to remind myself with Danielle all the time that um, things are so drastically different for our kids than they were for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, I constantly get locked into this, well, I should be here, or I should have this, or they should have that. And I battle my own demons with that. But if I'm able to kind of just step outside of my ego enough to go, you know, with the hand you've been dealt, like you're doing really good in
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
Um,
And you're there for
you
the
know,
kids. They're not in foster care. Like you broke
dude,
the cycle. So,
yeah, I mean,
yeah,
I'm
that's
I'm
pretty fucking
breaking it.
wild.
That's
Yeah.
what that's honestly that's kind of what keeps me going sometimes, man, because it's not enough that I do for me or that I do for Danielle, or it's not, sometimes it's just not enough, and I remember like what it is that I'm doing, what it is that I'm fighting for, man, and it's, so they can have a better life, man.
That's awesome, Mike. Dude, thank you for spending some time with me after
I
you've
love you.
worked. I love you too. Yeah, and I just found out a couple days ago you'll be in LA with me in July. So I'm dating the
Hey,
show right now. So if you're listening to this in August, it's already happened. But I get to go debut a film about my experience with the prison system in Los Angeles. Big red carpet. It's going to be super fancy, way fancier than we deserve, but it's still pretty
way
fucking
fancier
awesome.
than we deserve.
But
Yeah.
I'm so glad. I couldn't think of anybody outside of my wife I'd want than to look out in the audience and see you there. From being in a cage to being in Los Angeles for this experience,
Crazy.
it's pretty wild.
Crazy.
Yeah.
There's no other reason that I would fly out to LA other than to see you premiere because I have no urge to go out there other than that. I'm honored. I'm honored to be on the show. I'm honored to be a part of one of your greatest achievements in life. I love you, man. I'm so grateful for you.
Well, I love you too, man, and I'm glad that that your life has led you here to this show. Appreciate you.
Amen.
All right,
Yes,
I'll
sir.
talk to you soon.
See you, buddy.
They told me not to smoke drugs, but I wouldn't listen. Never thought I'd get caught and wind up in prison. Chalk it up to youth, but young age I ain't dissing. I guess I just had to get it out of my system, out of my system, out of my system.
All right, that was Mike joining us on Uncarcerated. Make sure that you download the show, like, share, subscribe. You can find us on Apple, Spotify, and our website, uncarcerated.org. We'll get back to normal shows with my co-hosts, Kevin Scott and Julius Irving, coming up in just a few days. We got a really cool guest coming up just a few days from now, but I just wanted to hop on and do this show with Mike tonight. So super excited that we got a chance to spend some time together, and then his life has got a little bit of a happy ending because it doesn't always work out like that.
They told me not to smoke drugs, but I wouldn't listen. Never thought I'd get caught and wind up in prison. Chalk it up to youth, but young age I ain't dissing. I guess I just had to get it out of my system, out of my system, out of my system.